Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching and learning in Indiana and around the world. More at education.indiana.edu.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company. Fiber Internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. In the final part of our series on the state's public defense system,
the level of justice people receive very well can depend on what side of a county line your crime is alleged to have been committed.
Ahead, what's the solution to the state's overburdened and piecemeal defense system? And swine flu often is dangerous for both pigs and humans. A research team is using Indiana fairs as a place to learn more about the virus. The much anticipated solar eclipse is Monday. Where to view it, how to do it, what to expect. An expert joins us to help you prepare. Plus, the latest news headlines from across the state right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. For the past 2 weeks now, we've been telling you about issues with Indiana's public defender system, and they're not unique to this state. The entire country is facing what many legal experts refer to as a public defense crisis. As the increase in drug use and the resulting crimes bring more cases into the system, states are struggling to keep up. Reporter Barbara Brosier joins us now with the final installment in our series, Justice for All. So Barbara, what's the solution?
Good question, Joe. It depends on who you talk to. Here in Indiana, experts say there needs to be more accountability to ensure counties are providing adequate public defense to defendants who qualify. Some say creating a statewide system is the best solution, but even states with that setup face some of the same challenges. The sun hasn't been up long in Carrollton, Kentucky, but Sarah Wiedenhafer is already well into her workday.
I think ultimately the big draw for me is that it's an opportunity to give back.
Wiedenhafer works as a public defender in Kentucky, which has a statewide system for indigent defense called the Department of Public Advocacy. She's one of 11 attorneys who works out of the Boone County office, and today she's spending her morning in Carroll County District Court.
So no change in the bond, Your Honor?
The majority of the people appearing in court today are Wiedenhafer's clients. She bounces from one case to the next, greeting each person with a smile and asking the judge to consider setting or lowering the bond for clients who are currently in jail. It's dizzying to watch her manage it all. And while she makes it look easy, she says it isn't.
I think the biggest issue is always going to be managing the time with the demands.
Wiedenhafer handled so many new and old cases on this day, we couldn't keep track of them all. According to the Kentucky Department of Public Advocacy's annual report from last year, the number of new trial cases has jumped nearly 15% in the past 10 years. The state's governor proposed a budget last year that would have added 44 more attorneys to help deal with the increase in caseloads, but legislators slashed it from the budget, so caseloads aren't getting any easier to manage. Last year, Kentucky public defender caseloads averaged about 55% above national standards. It's an issue public defenders across the nation are grappling with, regardless of how their system's set up. But the Boston-based nonprofit Sixth Amendment Center says a statewide system like Kentucky's is better than a state like Indiana's because it provides more oversight of public defense services. The center listed several recommendations to improve Indiana's public defense services, which currently vary from county to county.
The level of justice people receive very well can depend on what side of a county line your crime is alleged to have been committed.
The report says Indiana's public defense system is inherently flawed because it both institutionalizes and legitimizes the choice of counties to not fulfill the minimum parameters of effective representation. Counties are free to, and do, forego state money in order to avoid oversight. Some of the other recommendations include creating a mandatory training and supervision system and a system to ensure compliance with all standards. It also suggests creating a statewide appellate defender office, which is something Illinois has. But some question whether adopting a centralized public defender system is best for Hoosiers.
I think that every county by size, by the nature of its population, rural, suburban, urban, has different situations. And I think that anytime we try to do a state down, one size fits all thing, we run into the possibility of waste. We run into the possibility of overshooting the runway.
Bud Herron is part of the 3-member Public Defender Board in Bartholomew County. The county created the board last year and tasked it with coming up with recommendations for improving the public defense system here.
We have, by estimate, 200 more cases that moved through in 16 than moved through in 15 that required public defenders.
Bartholomew County is trying to be proactive about the problem, especially after hearing about the lawsuits filed in Johnson and Allen counties, alleging their systems are violating people's constitutional rights through inadequate representation.
We don't want that to happen here, not just because we don't want the expense of it, we don't want the possibility of retrying cases that were considered not adequately represented. We want to do it because it's the right thing to do, and because the people deserve this.
Rather than going all in and complying with the Commission's standards in order to qualify for reimbursements, the board is recommending Bartholomew County fix what it already has in place. Here, judges appoint one of 11 part-time public defenders to handle cases. But under the board's recommendations, that would change. They want the county to hire 2 more part-time public defenders, as well as a chief public defender who would oversee and appoint them. They say it could eliminate any potential conflicts of interest.
It's something that neither the judges nor the attorneys want to be involved in, just because it casts an ethical cloud over our judiciary. And if there's anything in this country that we need for sure to have the very highest of respect and the highest of accountability, it's the judiciary.
Herron says the biggest hurdle is getting the county to approve the funding needed to implement the recommendations, which would cost thousands of dollars. And that may be the biggest challenge facing the system as a whole. According to the most recent information available from the Department of Justice, in 2012, state governments only spent $2.29 billion nationally on indigent defense. That may sound like a lot of money, but in reality, it's only 10% of their judicial budgets.
We can always use more money, more people, more space. We're out of space.
The Monroe County Public Defender's Office has one of the most robust systems in Indiana. The office has 15 full-time attorneys on staff, but Chief Public Defender Michael Hunt says it wasn't easy to get here.
When I tried to get into the state reimbursement program, it meant that we needed more attorneys to meet the caseload standards. That required the county council to hire more people, and I got 3 or 4 years of pushback where they wouldn't let me apply until I basically had saved enough money from fees we get to hire a couple of attorneys.
Hunt says he can't speak for other counties, but he's pretty happy with the type of public defense provided here. Because Monroe County has a public defender office, there's also support staff to help with the time-consuming tasks associated with defending cases, like hiring an investigator. That's a luxury many counties in Indiana don't have.
So the only purpose for the stop would have been the expired tax.
Back in Kentucky, Wiedenhafer says that's one of the biggest benefits of a statewide public defense system. There are more resources for attorneys representing the indigent here.
I think there is absolutely an argument to be made that the state-run system provides more consistency, if from no other standpoint than the training that we as attorneys representing the defendants receive and the expectations that are on us as far as trying to advocate their best interests.
So Barbara, is there any indication whether legislators plan to take this issue up?
Well, do they actually discuss this issue this week during a summer study committee? The Indiana Public Defender Commission says that it wants to increase reimbursements to counties. Now, we mentioned in a previous part of this story that it reimburses counties for up to 40% of the cost of felony cases if they follow state standards for things like caseloads and training requirements. Only a little more than half of the counties in the state do that. They want to increase it to about 50% reimbursement for all indigent cases, and they think that could give them another enforcement tool.
There's no funding for misdemeanors in the state of Indiana, and because there's no funding, even though the commission exists, there's no oversight, there's no enforcement.
So they're hopeful that by offering that additional reimbursement for 50% reimbursement for all indigent cases, that more people will buy into the standards and come into compliance with caseloads. The commission also announced that it's forming a task force. It's going to meet for the first time next month, and it's going to consider some of these challenges that we've talked about with public defense in Indiana and hopefully come up with some solutions.
All right, and all three of those segments on our website if anyone missed any of those.
Yes, and
right?
a special will be airing on August 24th at 8 right here on WTIU.
All right, thank you very much. A Brown County judge found a southern Indiana man is not criminally responsible for a hatchet attack against an exchange student from China. As Becca Costello reports, the judge says Dana Erickson wasn't aware of the wrongfulness of his actions when he stabbed the student in the back.
Judge Judith Stewart said Erickson could not be held criminally accountable for the attack against 18-year-old Yu Zhang because of his long history of mental illness. At an upcoming hearing, he could be involuntarily committed to a state hospital for psychiatric treatment.
I'm not a medical doctor, but from my familiarity with him, I think that will serve him and society a lot better than what was in place before the incident.
Prosecutor Ted Adams says he respects the ruling and wants people to remember one thing.
We should not forget that a girl was hurt badly and she still suffers psychologically from the attack.
The commitment hearing for Erickson hasn't been scheduled. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Becca Costello.
Well, it's been nearly 40 years since a total solar eclipse crossed the United States, but on Monday, that will change. The totality is passing through Kentucky, but across Indiana, you will be able to see a large percent of the eclipse. And now Indianapolis will experience about a 90% totality, but if you go a little farther south, as Patoka Lake, you can see as much as 98% totality. And joining us now to discuss the best way to view this rare solar event is Katie Pilachowski, a professor of astronomy at Indiana University and a former president of the American Astronomical Society. Thank you so much for being here.
Happy to be here.
So now, how do we know this is going to happen? Everyone's talking about the eclipse. What if it doesn't?
That would be really startling if it didn't happen. We would all be nuts, I think. But no, the ability to predict eclipses has been a human skill for a long, long time, and we're very accurate at it. Remember, NASA was able to fly a spacecraft past Pluto, just a few thousand miles off the surface. This is child's play compared to that.
So show us exactly what's going to happen.
Okay, so here I have a little Earth ball and a marble. This is about the right relative size of Earth and Moon. What happens is the Moon's orbiting around the Earth, and it passes directly between the Sun and the Earth. The shadow of the Moon falls across the Earth and will pass just across the continent here. There's a narrow range of about 70 miles where totality will be visible. That is, the Moon will completely cover the Sun.
Right.
The rest of the continent will see a partial eclipse, as we will here in Bloomington.
So now there's a safe way, though, to do this. So and don't look at the eclipse without special eye protection. Everyone's been talking about these glasses.
These are hard to come by. So these are special glasses made specifically for looking at the Sun. And they block out about all but, one part in 100,000 of the sunlight. So looking through them, you can't really see anything except the Sun when you look through these. This is the only way to view a partial eclipse directly, to have some eye protection in place. Otherwise, retinal damage is a sure thing. So people should be really careful.
When you put them on, they're almost blackout.
They are.
Yeah,
you really
you
can't see
anything.
much of anything.
Yeah.
I know there's been a lot of interest in the media about some bogus glasses that have been sold, and people can check their glasses and see that there's a certification on the inside that shows exactly what they can and whether they're safe or not. So.
And now there are some other ways. It looks like it'd be some fun to have with children too, to be able to see this, but with a shoebox.
These are great, and everybody has these materials at home. This is a pinhole camera, and what people can do is just take a small piece of tinfoil, cut a hole in one end of the box, and I've used a little black tape here, but a pinhole, aluminum foil is fine. Cover the hole and poke a tiny pinhole in the aluminum foil. On the inside of the box, just tape a white card or a white piece of paper. It's really simple. I've put one inside here so people can see. It's just
right
a white card. And on the side or the end of the box, cut a hole so you can see inside. And then during the eclipse, simply point the pinhole at the sun and look in the side hole at the white card inside. There'll be an image of the sun formed in there showing what's happening on the partial eclipse. It's really simple. But there's even an easier way to see it. Just
Really
stand
quick,
under
we
a
have
tree.
10 seconds.
Shadows under the tree will show the shape of the eclipse.
Shadows under the tree?
Under the tree. That's the easiest way to see it.
All right,
Find
we'll look for it. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And it's going to occur on Monday, August 21st. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. In the past, swine flu has shut down pig barns. We'll tell you what researchers are doing at Indiana fairs to keep pigs and the public safe. And the latest on top stories from across the state in this week's headlines. That and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
We are a nation of explorers. We seek new ways of living, of thinking, and of expressing ourselves. We take risks, we learn from experience, and we keep moving forward. That's why we encourage and celebrate the explorer in all of us.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. Like humans, pigs often carry strains of influenza, and the flu virus can pass from pigs to humans and vice versa. Swine flu outbreaks have shut down barns at county and state fairs. As Lindsay Wright reports, that's led to changes in how pigs are kept across the Midwest.
It's 9-year-old Aiden Campbell's first year in 4-H at the Monroe County Fair. He's been raising his pigs to show at the fair since January, but this isn't a new activity for his family.
Oh my gosh, well, just our family, we've been doing it for about 10 years.
Campbell says the process is a learning experience she believes is important for her 5 kids.
It's also how these animals are raised and what it takes to sustain their life and to raise a healthy animal that you put back into society. It feeds us.
But there is a risk associated with not just raising pigs, but being around them in general, swine flu. About 5 years ago, most of Campbell's pigs tested positive for it. And around that same time, in 2012, public health officials were realizing that some forms of swine flu could be passed between humans and pigs.
What really was the big difference is it was the first time in the U.S. that we had people and pigs in the same environment getting the same strain of flu at the same time. And so we knew it was passing back and forth between the people and the pigs.
That year, 138 people with known swine exposure tested positive. This year, the Morgan County Fair had 370 total pigs on the grounds. That's a record, and it's a lot of pigs coming from different places and staying in close quarters. It'd be easy for one sick pig to quickly spread the virus to a lot of animals. That's why it's the perfect place for Dr. Andrew Bowman and his team from Ohio State to do some research. Bowman is an assistant professor with the Department of Veterinary Preventive Medicine.
And so we've used fairs as a place to get pigs from lots of farms in one spot so we can see what strains of flu are out there instead of going farm to farm to farm.
The group began the research project in 2009, traveling to fairs mostly in Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana. They find influenza at about a quarter of the 100 fairs they attend. Right now, they're testing 20 randomly chosen pigs in Morgan County. They take a nasal wipe to the pig's nose, put it in a viral transport, then freeze it for 2 months. And although it's not always an enjoyable activity for the pigs, it all serves a purpose.
We don't want to have any regulatory impact. We're not regulatory in any way, shape, or form. This is all purely research. And so they sit in the freezer so that we don't have any impact on the fair. By the time we know the results, the fair is long over, and then we can use that information to help guide future policies or understand which viruses were there and study how it spreads through pig populations.
And over the years, research has shaped recommended policies for fairs and those raising pigs. Some include getting pigs vaccinated, pigs getting temperature checked upon entry, and limiting time the pigs spend in the barn. According to the State Board of Animal Health, most fairs are using the recommendations in some way. In Morgan County, pigs are kept in the barns for no more than 72 hours.
There's a downside to that because when the public comes, they want to see a full barn. We don't have a full barn right now, but we've got a safe barn.
Although researchers learn more each year, strains of the flu virus come and go in mysterious ways. A fair in Clinton, Ohio, tested positive for swine flu this past July. The state veterinarian ordered the barn to be quarantined and the animals slaughtered.
We had a lot of pork owners who were concerned we would adopt that policy in Indiana, and so we spent a lot of time trying to allay their fears, and that's not the normal protocol that we would follow. That's not something that we expect that we would do based on having flu in a few animals.
Even though the animals wouldn't necessarily be slaughtered, Darer says the pigs would need to be taken out of the barns immediately to reduce the chance of exposure. She says it's important to continue learning more about flu viruses for the sake of fairs, humans, and the animals. And Bowman agrees.
There's constantly diseases in both populations, and they pass back and forth. The question that we really don't have a good handle on is predicting which ones will cross that species barrier, which ones are of a concern to us and which ones aren't. And so as we're learning more, we start to get better predictors of things that we should be concerned of or not.
Campbell says, as someone who cares for pigs, she appreciates the research. She says her family wants their pigs to be healthy.
It's a risk that you take with anything. I mean, you can have a house animal that would get sick too. It would be the same thing, or your children, you'd take the same precautions. You have them seen by the proper vet or doctor and you get them treated, and for the most part, it's not like it's a diseased animal.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Lindsay Wright.
And even if a pig does become ill with influenza, the virus is not transmitted through its meat. Now for headlines, Barbara Brosier joins us again. She has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. Senator Bernie Sanders is coming to Indiana. He's hosting a rally on jobs and the economy in Indianapolis Monday afternoon. Sanders will be joined by Chuck Jones, who retired as president of the Carrier Plant Workers Union. Sanders and Trump both picked up the cause of carrier workers during the presidential campaign over the company's plans to cut 1,400 jobs by moving production to Mexico. Trump pressured Carrier to keep some jobs in Indianapolis, but boasted inaccurately about how many were saved. The Association of Indiana Prosecuting Attorneys wants the legislature to increase penalties for drug dealers. A law went into effect last year that means people convicted of multiple drug dealing felonies can't get suspended sentences. But prosecutors say that's not enough.
We're talking about sentences that went from 30 years down to 1 to 6 with an advisory of only 3 years. So therefore, they're next to nothing.
Baldwin says treatment is another important part of the equation, but people supplying drugs need to face consequences. The state is officially in charge of Section 5 of Interstate 69. The Indiana Finance Authority finalized an agreement to end its contract with I-69 Development Partners. INDOT will now work with subcontractors to complete the construction between Bloomington and Martinsville, which is nearly 2 years behind schedule. Indiana could be getting closer to passing hate crimes legislation since it was endorsed by House Speaker Brian Bosma this week. Advocates say hate crimes laws serve as a deterrent against acts of hate.
What a hate crime law can tell the community is that if this ever happens, we are going to seek full justice and remedy so that you know that there is recourse.
Indiana is one of just 5 states without a hate crimes law.
Okay, thank you very much, Barbara. Hundreds of people gathered on the Indiana University Bloomington campus Thursday evening to reflect on the events that occurred in Charlottesville, Virginia last weekend. It was just one of the many ways people in Indiana choose to speak out against white supremacy and hate.
White supremacy will be demolished. Will be demolished. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. The people united will never be divided. The people united will never be defeated.
White supremacy is not just Donald Trump. White supremacy is not just the people who showed up for the Unite the Right rally. White supremacy is laws that disadvantage people of color every day.
Anytime, any place, punch a Nazi in the face. Anytime, any place, punch a Nazi in the face.
Silence emboldens the oppressor. White silence is violence.
The rally was held by the Young Democratic Socialists of America. The evening ended with a vigil held in People's Park in remembrance of the woman who died in Charlottesville. And that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching and learning in Indiana and around the world. More at education.indiana.edu.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company. Fiber Internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members, thank you.